stories, by the news. A lot
There's
is happening.
There's so much going on. I don't think I can get through all the stories in the last 24 hours that have come out. It's incredible, man.
All right, let's speed through it.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning. Let's go.
Yeah, so, okay, the big one is that the federal government says they are in talks with Shell about investing its onshore assets. So you've got onshore stuff that's pretty much on land, and then which is out in deep sea as far as drilling is concerned. Shell has faced all types of issues in Nigeria. Oil spills in the Niger Delta, they've been fighting with environmental, lost a case, was there one case or so where they had to pay X amount to local communities. I think it was in Bayelsa or Delta or so. They've had lots of issues, oil spills, vandalism. So they're like, look, I beg, we're tired. Also, they want to pivot more to cleaner energy. And the International Energy Association, the IEA, just came out. That's what I was just looking at now. They said that for climate change goals to be achieved by countries around the world, you have to stop new oil and gas investments. Like that's the only way. Stop new exploration, stop them in order to, and that is, I mean, that's almost crazy to tell oil developing nations that are poor, that are resource dependent, to now stop oil and gas investment. I mean, that's just, I mean, the developed nations are making a more bold statements with regard to climate change. This climate change thing has become very serious over the last few months, right? Just yesterday, again, I'm trying to keep up with all this. Just yesterday, Biden was in a Ford. He was in a plant in Michigan where he said the future of the automobile industry is electric. He now said that China used to be number 9 when it came to research and development electrical vehicles. China is now number 1. The US has fallen behind. He was talking about how the US has to come back. There's one thing that struck me about what he said. He said, nobody's waiting for America. America is behind. We have to, other countries are far ahead in electrical vehicles. And I was like, come on, if the biggest economy in the world is talking about how far behind he is, and the rest of the world is not waiting for them, what does that mean for us, right?
Yeah, yes.
Then what else happened? Air France and KLM completed their first long-haul flights using some synthetic jet fuel, basically biofuels in part of their own climate change goals. So that's another thing that made headlines.
With less carbon emission.
It's just been a very, go ahead.
I said with less carbon emission.
Exactly. So it's over the last 24 hours, it's just been this big push up on climate friendly, climate friendly push. And that, for us, we're not moving fast enough. I have to ring up Governor Obaseki. Remember that speech he gave, I don't know where it was, somewhere, I think it was in Edo State or somewhere, where he said that, federal government was printing 50 to 60 billion in FAC allocations. That was what made the news. But I went back to the speech just a few minutes ago. He also said, and this is almost, not that it's prophetic, because Shell has been wanting to leave, but since he was the most recent public figure to say this, he was like, Shell is pulling out of Nigeria. He said, I went back to this, I should even send it to you, but everybody's seen the speeches. You just Google Obaseki and money printing. He said, Shell pulling out of Nigeria. Chevron is looking at alternative energy. He said this $60, $70 barrel oil you're seeing is a mirage. Revenues are falling. That we're falling behind, and all these companies are moving and looking ahead to being more energy efficient. And energy companies are looking to turn to more alternatives. What that means is that if the oil and gas, by the way, Shell said that they will still look at deep water exploration in Nigeria and possibly gas. And they might divest from their onshore assets and give it to the NPDC, the Nigerian Petroleum Development Company, which is a subset of NNPC. So they might still stick around for gas. But if you have, Timi Silva, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, is on record talking to the media saying, come, we're trying to talk to them. It's kind of like when ShopRite divested from here. They're still here physically, but it's another company that will be running it. So you have to think about, if these companies are not here in the future,
Can I tell you something, right? You know what is happening is it's just part of an exit strategy.
Yeah.
And that's what big companies do when they see that the economy, they have multiple years projected ahead in their business plan. So when they see this kind of things happening, these kind of trends happening, especially with the political environment and how it's safe or unsafe it is for businesses to thrive, they start implementing exit strategies so that they can save their downline. They're in business to make money, right? So if the economy is not going to support it 10 years down the line, what will they do? They won't stick around.
But Nigeria should have had the foresight to start. This is when we've been saying Nigeria's economy is diversified, right? We've been singing this thing for how many years that Nigeria needs to diversify its revenue sources. You cannot keep depending on oil.
It's drying up already.
Is it Volvo that said by 2030 they'll stop making petrol cars? UK they'll stop, I think 2035 or is it 2040? It's 2020 now. 2030 is 9 years from now. 24. I mean,
have you forgotten about the senator that was shouted down and laughed at when he raised the idea for electric cars in Nigeria in 2035?
Exactly. So it's just been, it's been a rapid. What else is happening? God, man, I'm telling you, the news is too much. France, Emmanuel Macron. He just completed. There's pictures of Buhari with.
Those are nice pictures. Yes.
Yeah, very nice pictures. He's good at that. He's good at taking pictures.
It was quite romantic to see.
Jeffrey Onyema, Minister of Foreign Affairs. I think I saw Zainab Ahmed, Minister of Finance as well. When Dr. Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, she was also there. France is pushing for $100 billion extra in SDR, special drawing rights, to be reallocated from developed nations to African nations. The IMF has said that they will approve another 650 billion or so for the region, but he wants money taken from developed nations to go. And he also pushed for vaccine production, COVID vaccine production in Africa. That's been a very touchy subject because profit-making pharmaceutical companies have said, no, why will I give you my patent? We spent billions of dollars research and development, and I want us to give it to you. The problem though is, guys, there's also the moral issue of trying to, because Africa is behind. We're still behind in terms of vaccine people and so on. So
yes,
I know I'm missing something. There's also the loan. Buhari is looking for another 2.3 trillion. There's a loan that's out there. Sanwo-Olu motorcycles will be banned in 2 months. Look, man, I can't get about the news that's come out.
Speaking of which, you reminded me, as you mentioned, Sanwo-Olu, I'm looking up his Instagram now because he made a lot of announcements yesterday. Well, a few. First, with the launch of, he talked about the visit to the Lagos State Residence Registration Agency, LASRA, to update his records and encourage citizens to go there to update their records. It says it's important that we have accurate data for everyone living in Lagos, as this will help government to make the right investments in education, healthcare, environment, transport, power, security, and other amenities. Another thing, he launched 500 units of first and last mile buses and 100 high and medium capacity buses for standard routes to start with, from the first to the last mile. They said they are safe, convenience, as commuters will be able to use Cowrie travel cards, an automated payment system already in use for BRT buses, similar to what you have in Dubai, in the UAE.
Right.
Future thinking.
Passports, by the way, they've halted passports. That's another one. Like, look, there's too much news. They've halted, the Immigration Service has halted applications and processing of new passports until the end of the month. They are shutting that down for the next 2 weeks. I hope they can meet up. Arebeshola, Minister of Interior, said that by May 31st, they would have caught up with all the backlog of passports. As I understand it, passports are produced in Malaysia. I can't remember the name of the company, IRS something, or IRL. The company, its parent company is in Malaysia. Foreign exchange issues and some other stuff have actually, from what I hear, what I'm reading, hampered the ability to be able to produce. So there's a big backlog of passports. They told us how many passports backlog is, and then they haven't said, they said that by the end of the month, this month, they'll complete that from June 1st. They'll start
because they had the mandates to start producing passports or getting them ready in a 24-hour window. Was it 24 or 48-hour window? So I think they're trying to.
I think it was 72.
At first, but it was reduced further.
Yeah, he said, I think it was 72 hours, and then there's an express one you can pay for, either 48, but you have to pay more. Just inaugurated in March 31st, Arebeshola inaugurated a new passport express center. And people are like, well, maybe that was part of the plan of what he wants to do from June 1st, because a lot of people, can you be inaugurating a new passport center when you've got a backlog? People were tweeting him and replying his Twitter. Me and my wife, not my wife, excuse me. People were saying that me and
Amen. Amen. Go on.
They were applying for passports for themselves and their spouses, and they haven't received anything back. So there's just so much going on.
Let's go through the messages. There's a whole load of them. But also consider the fact that with the issue of the passports, that the new passports have a different look and feel, and it has a chip embedded in it. So you can tell why they want to mop up on the old stock, just so that they can start afresh and then get the passports express service working.
4 years ago in 2017, they said they wanted to produce passports locally. I remember, if I can go and look it up, I saw it was either I read it in Premium Times or somewhere. 4 years ago, they said we want to produce all our passports locally. Yes. 4 years later,
baby steps. Rotus, let's take messages. Okay, from UK says, of course, the US is behind in relation to use of electric vehicles. Nigeria is never in the mix yet. We're still fully oil dependent and still battling with power supply. D from Alausa says, there are lots of other companies waiting to take over Shell and Chevron assets. No cause for alarm. Thank you. Tokwe says, which passport did they halt? The family member went for capturing yesterday. It's all a scam. The racketeering continues. Oh, wow. Oh, you have little faith. And then Winga Komo says, if America is behind on climate-friendly policies, then we here haven't started at all. Yet our government is waiting for the states for federal allocation. Okay, Rotus, like we say in local parlance, Wahala Day. And he continues, yet our politicians are thinking of how to win 2023 elections, not the fact that our source of revenue is under threat. And well, El Rufai has continued his tradition of sacking people right, left, and center. He says, someone who has launched a bus service in Lagos, we hope it works. Definitely will. And he says, can the security and printing press not produce, and I lost that, can the printing press not produce passports for Nigeria? And then here's another one from Yinka Bolu. Yinka says, Val, does someone know how much rent is at Ketu and anywhere in Lagos? It says, because there are real issues affecting people, and if you're not in sync with things like that, how would you know how to manage us? Henry Manuel says, Shell has been planning the exit for shallow water assets as part of its lower for longer strategy for several years. It says, if you look at their portfolio, they've been investing heavily in gas projects. In fact, they call themselves an energy company, not an oil company. The good news is that Nigeria can play in the gas sector and all forms of renewable energy. Unfortunately, we're not projecting that potential. Thank you, Henry Manuel. Thank you so much for this comment. Please leave a message and add your names to your messages. This number ends with 5744. He says, good morning, team. Great job you're doing. Please, what's happening with CAC? Registering a new business is very traumatic. Oh, by the way, you're doing a name search now for your business. It takes as long as 7 days or 8 days before you get an approval.
Hey, look, I mean, CAC, if you follow them on Twitter, they've been trying to streamline their operations. They've had some hiccups. But, I remember that time they waived, I think they cut the cost of registering a business in by half. They've done a lot, but they still got a long way to go.
All right. Thank you, Rotus. Mouthful today.
Marathon of stories.
Rotus the prophet is prophesied in his life today for the first time. Soon